Now, I'm counting this as a win for former President Donald Trump. I mean, DA Fani Willis doesn't stand much of a chance to get her wish of holding a trial against Trump before the November election, as he basically won a legal victory in the Georgia election fraud case against him when Judge McAfee granted him the right to appeal his ruling, allowing District Attorney Fani Willis to stay on the case. That means that the trial against Trump and 14 remaining co-defendants has effectively screeched to a grinding halt, and Trump may be elected the president of the United States of America before the court even gets a chance to pick this up again. By then, Donald Trump would definitely have an easier time getting the case thrown out, and maybe even DA Fani Willis right alongside it. And this is just for starters. In another win in another one of the legal cases against him, Trump and co-defendants in his New York civil fraud case have posted a bond of $175 million. The posting brings an end to a 6-week ordeal in which Trump scrambled to fend off possible seizure of property or assets stemming from a $464 million judgment from Judge Arthur Engeron from New York. This is the one that New York State Attorney General Letitia James has brought up against the former president. Well, now they've got the bond for an appeal in order to push through in July. The bond was provided by California-based company Knight Specialty Insurance Company under billionaire Don Hankey. So according to Hankey, he has never met Donald Trump. He's never talked to him on the phone. He just heard that Donald Trump needed a loan or a bond, and this is what they do. So they reached out and he responded. The deal, Hankey said, came together in just a few days. And interestingly enough, this isn't the first time Hankey has worked with Trump. Hankey, a billionaire who presides over an auto services empire, may never have met Trump, but he was the largest individual owner of Axos Financial, the lender that bailed out Trump by refinancing his mortgages at Trump Tower and his Miami resort in 2022. Axos also previously had done business with the family of Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law. So yeah, they may be moving around the same orbit, and that says something about Hankey's belief in the former president. And let me tell you guys, Hankey seems to have a good head on his shoulders, as he also previously donated to California Democrats Ted Lieu and Bob Hertzberg. For him, it's all about business, and it looks like for him, Trump means good, trustworthy business. Trump just keeps winning in all these legal cases against him, cases he calls a political witch hunt and election interference. Well, at least he has the Supreme Court on his side. At least that's how it looks, with the Supreme Court handing Trump a huge win before it even hears his case. The justices agreed to decide whether Trump enjoys total immunity from prosecution, and perhaps more importantly, the timing of that decision likely means a trial over Trump's role in January 6th won't even begin, much less end before the election. Like the experts said, Trump did succeed in the most important task of all, and that is to not have a trial before the election. But what do you guys think? Is Donald Trump going to win all the way to November? Let's find out in today's video. You guys ready? All right, so let's go ahead and dive right in. So for starters, there's the $175 million bond that Trump just secured in the New York civil fraud case against him. Check it out for yourself, guys.
That Donald Trump has posted a $175 million bond to avert asset seizure while he appeals the civil fraud penalty. According to a court penalty filing that came in, Donald Trump posting that $175 million bond today in his New York civil fraud case, halting the collection of more than $454 million that he owes and preventing the state from seizing his assets to satisfy the debt while he appeals, according to that filing. A New York appellate court had given the former president 10 days to put up the money after a panel of judges agreed last month to slash the amount needed to stop the clock on enforcement. The bond Trump is posting with the court now is essentially a placeholder meant to guarantee payment if the judgment is upheld. If that happens, the presumptive Republican presidential nominee will have to pay the state the whole sum, which grows with daily interest.
His supporters are already saying that when, not if he wins the appeal, he should countersue these people for interest on his money. But hey, we'll look into this bond filing a little bit more later in this video. But first, let's talk about how Trump has basically already won against Fani Willis in Georgia. I'm talking about the appeal that Judge McAfee has just approved. Basically, McAfee granted the former president's motion seeking an immediate review of the Georgia Court of Appeals of his bombshell ruling, allowing the Fulton County DA to continue prosecuting the case, despite her affair with lead prosecutor Nathan Wade. See, Trump and several other co-defendants who want to take Willis off of the case, they did not have an automatic right to appeal before the start of a trial. However, Judge Scott McAfee granted the rare measure considering how important and historic the case was. But what this appeal also does, and Trump Trump's legal team knows this probably as well, is it delays a trial from being scheduled, making it highly unlikely that it would even take place before the election in November. Trump lawyer Steve Sadow called McAfee's decision highly significant and added that he's hopeful that the appeal will win. But with the appeal pending like this, I'd say that they basically won already, as the trial against Trump and 14 remaining co-defendants has effectively screeched to a halt. Keith Johnson, a Georgia-based defense attorney and former prosecutor, confirms this, saying that McAfee's decision allowing the appeal pre-trial is rare and that until the matter is decided, the case will effectively be at a standstill. Johnson explains how, practically speaking, the trial will not proceed until the Georgia Court of Appeals makes a ruling on Judge McAfee's order to allow District Attorney Willis to remain as a prosecutor on the case. As in his motion asking to appeal, Sadow and the attorneys criticized Willis's January speech at Atlanta's Big Bethel AME Church, where she claimed that the backlash against her and Wade was racially motivated because they were both black. They said this would mean that the defendants would not be able to get a fair trial. This is pretty similar to the motion that they filed back in January after Willis made her comments at the church, which the defense called falsely and intentionally injecting race into the case. Things are definitely heating up, you guys, as Trump races past these legal obstacles to get to the November election finish line. Now, if you're finding this analysis helpful and you're as intrigued by these developments as I am, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support really helps out the channel to continue providing in-depth discussions on not just this case, but all pivotal news events that are shaping our world. So don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any future updates on this story as it unfolds. All right, anyway, so let's get back to Trump's battle plan and how he could end up running out the clock all the way to November. So like I said, even before the trial, the appeals court could decide to take Fani Willis off the case, and if that happens, analysts predict that the case against former President Donald Trump could be dead in the water. Now, if Willis is tossed from the case, her entire office would likely be as well. A state prosecutor's counsel would then be tasked with deciding which new DA, if any, would take over the case. And it's unclear if a new prosecutor would have the appetite to bring the sprawling and very complex racketeering case against the former president and his allies. As explained by legal experts, although the case will not automatically go away, it's possible that no new prosecutor will be found, thus making the case go away in practice. Plus, Willis and Wade aren't exactly off the hook either. Georgia's State Bar Association could certainly open a probe of both attorneys, potentially opening them up to a range of penalties, including possible suspensions of their law licenses. Disbarment, as many of you guys have been calling for in the comments. Georgians could also decide to move on from Willis at the ballot box. She announced plans to run for re-election to serve another 4-year stint as Fulton County DA, with her current term set to end in December. But already she has two competitors at her heels. Christian Y. Smith, a former Fulton County prosecutor, self-described progressive, and author of a voting rights-themed children's book, announced plans to run against Willis in this fall's Democratic primary. There's also Courtney Kramer, a Republican with election law expertise who worked as a consultant for Trump's legal team. Kramer has not minced words, slamming Willis on social media and cable news networks, demanding her disqualification from the high-profile Trump case, and labeling Willis' conduct as disgusting. So yeah, Fani Willis disqualification and removal saga is far from over, guys. But really, the win here is that no matter how the appeals court rules, it's unlikely that a trial would unfold before November's presidential election. As Trump supporters have said, everyone should be able to look at this trial and know that it is political. So if Trump's team ultimately gets Trump past this November finish line, then, well, it's a huge win for Team Make America Great Again Trump. Now, another key piece of the puzzle is the $175 million bond that Trump and his co-defendants just posted in his New York civil fraud case. So Alina Habba, an attorney for Donald Trump, said Trump's payment was made as promised and that the former president looks forward to vindicating his rights on appeal and overturning his unjust verdict. Trump's people are just hoping that the Court of Appeals wipes this out and that AG Letitia James and Judge Arthur Engoron be sued. The fact that Trump has come up with the money means he'll be able to protect his assets from New York's Attorney General Letitia James, who had warned that she would start seizing properties as early as late March. Helping Trump out is billionaire Don Hankey, and it's interesting to see Hankey's take on things. For him, securing a bond like this for Trump is just part of what his company does. At the same time, according to Federal Elections Commission's filings, Hankey has also donated to California Democrats Ted Lieu and Bob Hertzberg. For Hankey, he's happy to support Republicans or Democrats if they're business friendly. And like I said earlier, perhaps he sees Trump as a great investment in the future. Then, of course, there's the Supreme Court agreeing to hear Trump's arguments for total immunity from prosecution. The timing of that decision likely means a trial over Trump's role in January 6th won't begin, much less end, before the election. There is nothing Trump wants more in this case than a delay. If he wins in November and hasn't been tried before Inauguration Day, there's a good chance he never will be. As explained by Sarah Krisoff, a former federal prosecutor in New York, if Trump is elected, it's very unlikely that Jack Smith's case continue just because of the control that Trump would have over the Justice Department, similar to the control that Joe Biden has over the Justice Department, if you know what I mean. And now experts call it all but certain that this case will not go to trial before November. For them, Trump has already won by not having a trial before the election. So what do you guys think? Does Trump have this in the bag for November? Hit me up in the comments down below. Me, I still say that we have to be vigilant all the way to the end. That's why I highly recommend subscribing to the channel and tapping that notification bell. That way you don't miss any of our latest updates on Trump's legal battles and everything else that matters in this great country of ours. As always, thanks for staying with me, guys. Thank you for lighting up the like button. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys here on the channel. You guys take care, okay? See you on the next one.